Somewhere this Sunday, before the doors open, somebody's going to walk into a room that's still half dark. The heat or AC isn't on yet. He'll plug in, play one chord to nobody, and try to get it right before the rest of his team shows up. I know that guy. I've been that guy for 18 years. And this week, I found out that there's about 1,000 of you. 1,000 subscribers. It's the line where YouTube lets you turn ads on. That's what the number means to them. So 1,000 people said yes to this and Sunday guitar, and my prize is permission to interrupt you. I'll think about it. Anyway, it's not the number I've been sitting with this week. Most of you aren't on staff anywhere. You've got a job outside of church and kids and rehearse midweek and have service on Sunday. You're buying your own strings. You're hauling your own gear from home to church every week. No one's reimbursing you for your patch cables. And a lot of you have never had a person at church to ask about gear, to ask about tone, to ask about guitar parts. That's the whole reason this channel exists. I know that because you tell me. It shows up in the comments all week, every week. I read them, every one of them, and try to respond. 2 comments this week I haven't been able to shake. The first one was from my last video. A guy said, if I only have one Tonex and a Boss SD1, would that help with the intensity part? I'm planning to buy something for my place, which I'm lacking, but my intensity is still a bit lacking too. Only. That's the word I keep hearing. He already knew what was missing, and he was just about to go spend money he didn't need to spend to fix it. That's a guy at home on Tuesday night trying to work out whether he's already got is good enough for Sunday. There's another one, which wasn't a question, more of a comment. He wrote, I'm like you. I have a full-time job at my local church where I like to worship, and I'm finishing my dream board. Finishing my dream board on weekends around a job. I don't know that guy, but I know exactly who that guy is. Here's what I actually keep thinking about. On Sunday morning, 1,000 people are doing the same quiet thing in 1,000 different rooms. You're checking tuners and fixing cables that were going out all month long. You're playing a part that you practiced every night this week after your family went to bed. Nobody's filming it. Nobody's going to clap for the guy who got his tone right. And some of those rooms don't even exist yet. A lot of churches are set up and tear down. You meet in schools or gyms or theaters. Someone has to build those rooms before anyone can walk into them. Stages need set up, cables, chairs. Then you have to take it all down after the last service. I did that for years. Nobody was watching me either. But somebody in that room is going to sing something they needed to sing that morning. And part of the reason they could is that the music underneath them held steady. You did that. No one's going to mention it to you. The Bible says your Father sees what's done in secret. That verse, I know it's not about guitar players, but I've hung on to it a lot of Sunday mornings. That's the job. It's always the job. I'm going to say the thing that nobody in worship culture says out loud. There have been Sundays where I just didn't want to be there. There were stretches where I was serving out of obligation. I'd look at the schedule in Planning Center and felt it in my stomach. I went anyway, and I wasn't happy about it. And here's the other side. There have been seasons where I've cared more about my tone than I cared about the room. That's not a hypothetical. I've done that on a platform in front of a congregation there to worship God. Burnout is real, and it isn't a spiritual failure. I'm not going to tell you to want it more. That's what everybody else tells you, and it's never helped me once. There's a story in 1 Kings that nobody really reads at a volunteer meeting. It's where Elijah, he's just had the biggest day of his life. And right after it, he walks out into the desert, sits down under a tree, and asks God to let him die. He's finished. And God doesn't correct him, doesn't remind him of what he's called to. He sends somebody to feed him. and let him sleep. Then wakes him up and feeds him again. That's the whole answer for a while. So when I say burnout isn't spiritual failure, I'm not being soft about it. Sometimes the journey really is too much for you, and God's first move is a meal and a nap. What actually got me through wasn't feeling, it was showing up and letting that feeling catch up later. And it always did. 18 years of Sundays, different buildings, different states. And there were long stretches where I just didn't feel much of anything. I showed up anyway, not because I'm disciplined, because showing up is the part I actually promised. And I didn't promise it to a church. I promised it to God. I play for Him first. Everybody else gets the results. That's been true on the Sundays I felt it, and true on the ones I didn't. So, 1,000. Thank you. Not for the number, for the fact that 1,000 people care enough about doing this thing well, that you'd sit and watch a guy like me in his house talk about guitar parts. I'm not going anywhere, and there's a lot more coming, and most of it's going to come from you. Half of what I've already made this year started as someone's questions in the comments. So if you want, put your church and your town in the comments below. I'd like to see 1,000 rooms that you serve. And oh yeah, that guy I told you about in the beginning, before the doors opened, half dark room, playing one chord to nobody. If that's you this weekend, you're in the right place. Nobody in that building is going to say a word about it. I will. Thank you. See you Sunday.